haven't been with us for the past month, we've been going through a relationship series about dating, about friendships, boundaries, and what to look for in a person. And so tonight we're going to conclude this series with a little Q&A. Y'all have written in some questions I've got right here. And so Miss Faith and I are going to talk about those together tonight. And throughout the night, at the end of these questions, there will be an opportunity if you have, maybe a question came up as we're talking and you want to ask another one. Tonight's a great time to ask. So hold your questions to the end, because if you have some, we can talk about those too. So we're going to sit down here. This is just kind of like a friendly chat style. And we're just going to kick it off with the first question. What is the best way to handle a disagreement in a relationship? Question. My shoes untied? Oh, thank you. Tripping hazard. All right. So you want to tackle this one?
Yeah. Fist fights. No, I'm just kidding. Never want to handle fights with your fists, right? But the best way to handle a disagreement, honestly, something that I've done personally, and Nick and I have both done, is we agreed never to yell at each other. If I'm going to try to, if we don't agree on something and we're trying to see the other person's point of view, or if I'm just upset at him, I can't yell at him to make him hear me anymore. So yelling is never really a good way to get your point across. It never works.
Yeah, it's good. I know for me, there are like three things. Like the first thing is make sure you're ready to handle the disagreement. And what I mean is like emotionally, a lot of times when you first like butt heads on something, you might be angry, or you might be really hurt, or you might be sad or jealous or whatever it is. And it's good to take a step back first. Be like, hey, am I in the right frame of mind to even have this conversation? Or if I engage in this conversation right now, is it going to do more harm than good? And so the more that you have conflict, the better you'll get at like not engaging in your emotion. You can have that conversation sooner. But I would say like the first thing is to take a step back and ask yourself, where am I at? And even where's the other person at? Because if the other person isn't in the right frame of mind too, it's just not going to work out. It's not going to be healthy. Then the second thing is set some ground rules for when y'all disagree, because it's going to happen. And like Faith had mentioned, we've decided together that we're not going to yell at each other. We're just not going to do it. We've also decided we're not going to like bring up past stuff. We're not going to like call out and say, oh, we're going to attack that person's character. We're not going to do that. And one really great way that we've been taught is like, hey, it's us against the problem, not me against her or her against me. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, on that point, like when you're having an argument, it's really easy to say like, I'm mad at him, or I'm mad at her. It's like us against each other. But what he's saying is like, really something was done that made me feel a certain way, right? Or made me upset or made him upset. But if we try to focus more on that rather than, oh, it's him, I'm mad at him, then we're facing the problem together rather than hitting each other. Mm-hmm. I think on that point too, it's kind of like, even in an argument and you're hurt and you're mad and you're upset, you never have the right to be mean, and you never have the right to name call or to put them down or anything like that. So if you just go into a relationship saying, I'm never going to call Pastor Nick names, that's just not in our vocabulary at all. He knows that that's just not going to happen, and we have better trust in each other knowing that that's just not something we're going to do.
Yep, absolutely. And the last thing for me on this is one great tool that we've learned is, I don't remember the official name, but I'll call it like the talk back rule. So let's say, for example, Faith said, hey, when you don't say goodbye to me before you leave for work, like it makes me upset. Like I feel maybe like you don't care about me, or like you're just so busy that you don't have enough time for me. And so after she's finished explaining how she's feeling and how what I did made her feel, I will say, Faith, what I heard you say was, when I don't say goodbye to you before I leave for work, it makes you feel like I don't love you or care about you and that you're not important to me. Is that right? And I'll ask, is that right? And then she can either say, yeah, you got that right. Or she'll be like, actually, you got it partially right, but when you said this is what I actually mean. And this helps clarify so much, because a lot of times in relationships, a big problem causer is just lack of communication. A lot of times we're saying the same thing, or we think the same thing, we're just saying it in different ways. And so when you clarify that communication, it really helps resolve things. Mm-hmm. So did you have anything to add?
Yeah, my last thing that I wrote down was like, just remember when you're arguing with your boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, parent, like remember that you don't want to hurt them. You never want to intentionally hurt someone. I've never ever intentionally wanted to hurt Nick. And so going into a relationship or a disagreement, like just remember that you don't want to hurt the other person. So just be kind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's good. And then also I just want to add, like, this model of like handling disagreements isn't just for dating relationships.
Yeah.
It could be for friendships. This could be for coworkers. This could be for family. Like, learning these skills on how to handle conflict well is going to serve you really well in your life. So that's the first question. Second question, what qualities should I look for in my spouse?
Well, a few qualities that you should look for that work either way for like male, female, whatever, would be like to love the Lord. Like, that's first and foremost. They have to have a personal relationship with the Lord, that they are seeking Him and they want to know His heart. And then along that, like as a woman, what I'm looking for in a man is I want someone who's going to be able to lead me to Christ. You know, I want someone who's going to be able to provide for me financially. I want someone who's going to be able to give it like a safe roof over my head and things like that. So those are some important qualities that as a woman I'm looking for in a man. If he's cute too, it's a bonus.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off that first one, like when we talk about do they have a relationship with the Lord, do they love Jesus? We're not just talking like they show up to church twice a week. I'm talking about the type of person where they are so in love with Jesus, they love Him more than they love you. And they're submitted to Him and they read God's word. And it's not perfection, but their goal is they want to know God. And so that's going to reflect in their daily life. Like, even if like their goal is like, hey, I want to daily be with the Lord. That's what we're talking about when we talk about somebody who loves Jesus. The second thing for me personally is, are they humble? Are they willing to say, I was wrong? I'm sorry I hurt you. Because if they're not, man, that's going to be really hard to have a relationship with them. It's going to be really hard because that relationship's going to have conflict. There's going to be issues. And if they can't say they're sorry and recognize when they're wrong, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's really important that they're humble. And the Bible even says God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So think about that. Like, do you want to live the rest of your life with somebody whose God is going to oppose because they're prideful? That's the second thing for me.
Yeah, kind of going off what he said. You know, you have those friends that are like kind of rude, kind of sarcastic, and you're like, oh, that hurt. And then they like never apologize. And they're like, oh, I was just joking. Or oh, I was just trying to be funny. Like, I think something I really looked for in a significant other was someone who can apologize. If they're rude on accident and they didn't mean it and they own it and they're like, I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. That's my bad. I'm like, thank you. You know, thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate that. I totally forgive you. We're all cool. But if they don't apologize or they don't have that ability to see that what they did was wrong, like you can't, there's not much of a relationship there.
Yeah. Yep. I would say the third thing is they're willing and desiring to wait to have sex until marriage. That's a big one. If they're going to push you to cross the physical line, if they're going to always make you feel bad, like, oh, you're just scared or you're weird for not wanting this and they don't respect that, then you don't need to be in that relationship, because you want someone, again, it's a values thing. If they don't value that, like you value it, like the Lord values it, that's not something we want. So, and then lastly, for kind of just a general, like if you're looking for qualities, because we don't have time tonight to go through like every single thing, that the Bible talks about in which you could be looking for. For the ladies, I want you to read and write this down, Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 through 30. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 through 30. This walks through the responsibility that God has placed on the husband and the kind of qualities you're looking for in a husband. Like, it doesn't mean your boyfriend has to have them all right there, but is he trending in that direction? That's the question. So Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 through 30. And my guys, it's a good idea to go read that so that you know, like, what does the Lord expect of a husband? What is a godly woman going to want in a young man? So go read that too. And then for guys, I want you to go read Proverbs 31. Write this down, Proverbs 31. It talks about a godly woman, a bunch of character traits of, one of them is like she works hard. She takes care of her family. She's loving. And so Proverbs 31, and ladies, again, I recommend y'all read that so you can see like, hey, what is the Lord, how is the Lord wanting me to be? How does he want to mold me so I can be a godly young woman and a godly wife one day? You have anything to add to that?
No, that's good.
All right. Next question. How will I know if I'm going to be a good partner and ready to date?
It's a good question. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can tackle this one first. First, like, do you possess the qualities that I've mentioned earlier? Do you love the Lord? Are you humble? Are you willing and desiring to wait to have sex until marriage? Really, the biggest one is, do you have your own relationship with the Lord? Have you prayed about it? Like, the Lord wants to be involved in your life. He wants, and he knows better than anybody else when you'll be ready today. And so first, do you have the qualities that you've just mentioned? Again, it's not perfection. We're not saying, oh, you always have to be the super Christian. We're not even saying you could to be a super Christian, because that's not possible. But the question is, are you sincere in your faith? Are you seeking the Lord? And are you working on loving the Lord, having good boundaries, desiring to wait to have sex until marriage, and so on? So that was my first thing. What about you?
Absolutely. I think that like you're ready to date if you're okay being single. So I went through like my high school career, right, 4 years, and it wasn't until my senior year that I was like, you know what? I'm okay being single. I wanted to date so badly. I just wanted to find a guy. I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to hold hands. I wanted the whole thing. But it wasn't until I said, you know what, Lord, it's you know what I want. You know my desire is to be married one day. But if that's not what you have for me just yet, I'm ready whenever you are. I'm okay being single. And I can tell you within 3 months I got a guy. Yeah. So just
day after high school, I asked her out. So.
Yep. So I'm just saying that's not that's not always how it happens, but that is how it worked out.
Yeah. Yep. That's really good. I would also say you could be pretty confident if you have a list of boundaries, like physical, emotional, and spiritual boundaries. Like, hey, we are not going to kiss, or we're not going to make out, or we're not going to be in a place alone together. Emotional boundaries, like I'm not going to run to this person first when I have a bad day. I'm not going to share my entire life story on the first, second, third date. So I would say if you have strong physical, emotional, and spiritual boundaries, you're seeking the Lord, and you've prayed about it, and like Ms. Faith said, you're okay being single, I would say be pretty confident that you're ready to date. So do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that was great, 100%. My next one's real cheesy, but it's like, you know you're ready to date if you have money to go on a date. If you don't have money and you're using parents' money to go on a date, then like you're not ready yet. So just wait, maybe get a job. If you're like, I want a date, then get a job. Pay for
Especially my
yourself.
guys.
Yeah.
You better be paying for those dates, right?
Yeah. I mean, and if the guy's not willing, ladies, to pay for your date, then you're probably not ready just yet. A couple more months.
And then lastly, I'd just say, don't rush it.
Yeah.
Like, you're in middle school, you're in high school. There's no rush. Like, even when you graduate high school, like, it's better to wait than to rush into a relationship, get married, and then realize that, man, now we have an uphill battle to climb because I ignored these red flags or these other yellow flags and stuff that I should have addressed earlier.
Absolutely. I think going off that too, like, I know a lot of what we're saying is like, be prepared, be ready, know yourself, know the person you're going to date, where a lot of this can kind of sound like you may never feel ready to date, but it's also like, if you have all of these things, then just go on a date. Just see if you like them. That's what dating is for. You're not marrying them on the first date. You're dating them to see if that's the other person that you really want to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah, that's huge. The perspective of what dating is for is really important. Because if you're just doing it to avoid being lonely, or if you're doing it because it's cool, that's not a good motive. You want to date someone because you're looking for your future spouse. It's, yes, have fun. Yes, hang out with them. That's important. But also, like, remember, the main point of dating is to see, hey, am I going to spend the rest of my life with this person?
Yeah. Good.
All right. Next question. Is rage baiting a sin? Yes. Is it okay in a relationship? So before we start on this one, I want to define what we're talking about when we say rage baiting, because people can mean a lot of things. Rage baiting, if we actually just break down the word rage baiting, you are encouraging someone, you are egging someone on to get full of wrath, like genuine rage. If that is your intention, then yes, it's a sin. That's not right, because God calls us to not be a people of division, but a people of unity. Now, if you're talking about teasing somebody, like you're not attacking their character, you're just, them, you're messing around with them, that's different. But if we're going to talk for this conversation, talking about rage baiting, I'm talking about someone who's like genuinely like, I actually want to make this person mad. And I'm going to read you, I have 3 scriptures on this. Proverbs 6:16 and 19 says, there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are abomination to him. 1 who sows discord among brothers. When you genuinely talk to someone in a way that is to make them enraged, you are sowing discord. And the Lord hates that, and he doesn't want that. So that's Proverbs 6. The next one is James chapter 1, verse 19 says, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And then the last one is Proverbs 26:18. Like a madman who throws flaming darts and deadly arrows, so is the person who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. We experience that a lot. Like, hey, bro, I was just joking. Like, you look ugly, but I'm just joking. Like, again, you have to first, if you're genuinely trying to make that person mad, what you're doing is you're trying to cause that person to sin. And that's wrong. So know the relationship, know like have we been best friends for like 10 years? And am I just teasing him and I know this isn't actually going to make him mad? Or am I doing this with the intention to produce rage in them? So anything, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just had one idea on this whole rage baiting thing. I was like, look, if it's funny now, maybe it's funny for 6 months, but can you tolerate this for like 20 years? When you get married, like, is this something you're going to want to listen to? forever, or you're going to get sick of it. It's going to get old. It's not going to be funny anymore. And then you're going to be like, one day you're going to say like, hey, can we please like not do this? And they're going to be like, why? I'm just being me. And then you're like, oh, I actually don't like that part of you, you know, and you don't want to be married and now you're stuck. So just if you're dating and you see that kind of quality, and it's just kind of better to just get out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've seen, I don't know if y'all have been around couples who just constantly are just so mean to each other. It makes me uncomfortable and it makes me really sad because I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to be talked to that way. They might find it funny. I don't find it funny. And if we're being honest, like if they're being mean to each other, it does hurt. At some point, at some level, it does hurt. So that's good though.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, next question. What do I do if I'm in a relationship with someone and they want to be sexual, but they respect my boundaries? Should I leave because they want to be sexual or stay because they respect me? That was a really good question. This is really well thought out.
Yeah. My thought was that if they're wanting to have sex before marriage and y'all are not at the same place spiritually. You're wanting to pursue your sin, they're just not there yet. So if that's where you are, you're not equal yet, and you want someone who's going to partner with you, be committed to this decision with you, so that y'all can meet this goal. It is so much harder if it's just you and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then when you're tempted and it's just your strength making it through, like you're gonna fail eventually.
You're not gonna make it.
Yeah. So you really just wanna go into a relationship knowing that they're on the same page as you.
Yeah. And I would say too, like if they respect the boundary, right? What Faith said was like, man, y'all aren't on the same page. So what I would say is if you're in a relationship with somebody and they respect your boundary, but they don't share that boundary with you, you need to have a conversation with them. You need to be like, hey, we need to be on the same page on this issue. Because I know Faith and I were on the same page and it was really difficult. By the grace of God, we did wait. But man, I can't imagine like if Faith didn't want to wait or I didn't want to wait, like, man, it would have been really difficult, even more difficult than it already was, because God has designed us to be physically attracted to each other. That's not bad. God designed us to be sexually intimate with our spouse. And so the desire you're feeling is as God intended. It's what you do with it that matters. And again, you got to keep the fire inside of the fireplace, which is the marriage relationship. So I would say go have a conversation. If even after that conversation, they're like, no, I mean, I'll respect your boundary, but I still don't really care if I have sex before marriage or not. That's when I would say, you know what? This is not a good relationship for me. Because then for me, my next question is, well, if you want to have sex, but you're not going to have sex with me, are you going to have sex with somebody else while we're dating? Like that brings in a whole trust question for me. So you have anything else to add to that? Mm-mm. All right. I think this is the last question. Last question. What is the biggest lesson you've learned?
Ooh, that was a toughie. I had to think on that quite a bit. Honestly, the biggest thing that I've learned that's made the biggest impact on my relationship with Nick and how I approach and even view marriage is that Nick can't complete me. Only the Lord can complete me. So if I go into this marriage thinking that Nick is my everything and he's going to always make me happy and he is always going to love me and everything that, love is going to make it through, it's just not the truth. Only the Lord can have that kind of fulfillment in my life. So on days when we're both like at 15% and we just, it's just been one of those days, it's the Lord who helps both of us get through the day. It's never like, just Nick and I. It is a 3 braided cord for sure. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the biggest thing.
That's good. I'm tied between 2, so I'm just going to give you 2. The first one, the biggest lesson I've learned is that your relationship with God matters a lot. Like, I know we've said that. I heard that in youth group, but it wasn't until I started dating and now that we're married that I really realized how important my relationship with the Lord really is to my relationship with her. Because I've found that when I've had the most feelings of like romance and just I love faith and the feelings of it is after I've spent time with the Lord. When I've gone and I've talked to the Lord, I've prayed, I've read the word, I've worshiped, I've actually felt greater love for faith, and not just romantic love, but just like that genuine, just like I love you as a person and I just want to be with you and I want to be around you and I want the best for you. So that's the first thing, is cultivating your relationship with the Lord. And then the second thing is communication. I've learned communicating well and learning tools of communication is crucial because, like I said at the beginning, it will like solve a lot of problems. It will help you in disagreements. It will even help when you're not in a disagreement and you're just like trying to communicate, learning how the other person responds to certain things, how they want to be talked to, how you want to be talked to is really important. And I'll give an example because how you say something is just as important as what you say. Like, for example, if I went to Faith and I said, Faith, I have the most amazing cup of coffee you'll ever have. You need to try this. Like, here, try some. And I hand her a cup of coffee. She takes a sip. Great. But let's say we have that same situation. I go up to Faith and I was like, Faith, I just drank the most amazing cup of coffee and I got one for you. Here's some. And I throw it in her face. It doesn't matter how much I said the coffee was good. It's going to hurt her, A, because the coffee's hot, and B, she didn't get to drink it.
I'm wearing
threw it
it
on.
now.
She's wearing it now, right? And so think about like what you say as the coffee and how you say it, how you give it to that person. And it's just really important. So do you have anything else you want to add?
That was good.
All right. Well, that's all the questions. Are there any other questions that y'all have that you want to ask before we wrap this up?
I want to add to that, just the tone in which you say some things.
Yep.
Like, that's kind of the coffee deal, is the tone in which we respond to someone can really, it can stop it can mess everything up right there. And just create a whole conflict.
Yep. I had to apologize to Faith today because we were talking and I responded in a way that I don't normally respond. And I thought it was a little insensitive. And so I went back and I said, hey, Faith, like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it like that. Will you please forgive me? And
I was like, yes, I don't remember
and she was like,
about,
I didn't think you said it that way. I'm like,
I
okay,
didn't
good to
take it
know.
that
I
way.
just wanted to make sure. Because, yeah, tone can make or break what you say for sure. But any questions?
So, before y'all started a relationship, y'all knew each other for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were friends.
We were friends for 3 years
3
before we
years.
started dating.
Yep.
So
So
y'all knew each other pretty well before y'all started dating.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And that's part of why I was like, when Nick asked, yes, I want to date him. Why? Because I know his character. I know that he's in good standing with just about everyone I've ever met. I like him. We play. We have a lot of fun together. He loves the Lord a lot. And that's one of the reasons why, yes, I was like, let's date.
So when y'all got together, y'all understood each other, but you also knew each other incredible in the sense of lying.
Yeah.
Because anybody,
Say that again?
So anybody can say, yes, I want to wait for marriage, and then lying to somebody. But y'all knew that y'all weren't lying because y'all knew each other. You knew
Yeah,
each other's
and you'll find that out when you get into a situation where you're going to have to utilize some boundaries for sure. It's funny because for a whole year, I had a crush on her, but I didn't say anything.
Not a word.
And she wrote our relationship off before she even gave it a chance. It's
like,
a
"He'd
long
never be
story. She's like,
interested in
he'll
you?"
never ask me out. And I'm like sitting here just waiting to ask her out. So, but did you have a question?
What was the worst disagreement y'all had?
Oh, worst disagreement we had? That's a good question.
Like,
You should ask for points.
I mean, I don't know about like worst.
I mean, I would say we've never had like a disagreement where we were like yelling at each other or something
Yeah,
that brought us
never
to it. We
yelled.
have had situations where I think we almost broke up like 3 times while we were dating.
We did.
But that's because we had to ask some pretty tough questions about, hey, where are you going in your life? Like, I want to be in ministry. I don't know if that means a missionary. I don't know if that means a pastor. I know you want to be a nurse, so like, are our lives heading in the same direction? Oh, I think I do remember. Do you want to share that one, or
Which you say? Which one is it?
it's the one when we were long distance?
Yeah.
Do you want
In
to?
Lubbock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's really on my end, and which is why I think you asked me. But
Yeah,
yes.
we don't have
So
to.
it was also one of the hardest lessons I'd ever learned being in a relationship. But it's also why I knew that when we got married, I was like, I can go through it with this man. All of the tough situations that you're going to have in marriage is because I knew that even in dating, we had hard conversations and we were able to get through them together. But while I was in Lubbock, I was like, you know what? I've only ever dated one guy. Like, I don't know what else is out there. Like, don't I want to, shouldn't I maybe try to date someone else? And I really wrestled with that. And I was like, I love Nick, but maybe, I just had that it was honest to goodness. That
Sure.
was my heart.
Yeah.
And, and so Nick asked me one random Friday in the middle of
We were on FaceTime.
FaceTime, and it was so random. He was like, you know what, Faith, have you ever thought about like dating someone else? And I was like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about that earlier. Oh, I've been caught. And I said, I'm not gonna lie to you because honesty is the best policy. And I said, I've been thinking about it. And he was like, okay.
And then I said, well, I want to know right now, do you want to be in this relationship or not? Because if not, then I think it's best that we go our separate ways. But if so, then great. And then we hung up and she's like, I need some time. And I was like, okay. I remember sitting there on my bed and I was like, I think I was crying. I couldn't remember. I was like,
Oh, yeah,
but I was
forever.
like in despair. I was like, Lord, if this relationship is of you, like if you want this, then let her say, yes, I want to continue. If not, then I don't want to drag this out. I just want to know.
Yeah. So I got off that phone call and I felt the most broken I've ever felt. And I was like, why is this one, that's a relationship ending answer in case you hadn't gotten that, right?
And to be clear, she wasn't seeing other people.
Was not
She
seeing
wasn't
it. No,
dating. She wasn't talking to
not at all.
anybody either.
It was that thought was all that it was. I just couldn't shake that thought. And then I just broke down and I was talking to the Lord. I was like, why do I feel like this? And the Lord told me, and he was he said, I sought other men's approval, and I had that question because there was a hole missing in my heart that I was like, I just want to feel more loved. Nick can love me, but it didn't fill my love tank. I felt like this much full of love, and I wanted to feel this much. And so I thought, well, maybe if I dated someone else, I would feel this much love. And the Lord was like, nobody can ever make you feel this much loved. Only I can make you feel this much love. And so after about 15 minutes of understanding that, I called him back and I was like, please, I want to be with you. I don't want to be with anybody else. And I told him, I was like...
That's why the Lord's your greatest wingman right there, I'm telling you.
And I was like, I was missing this love that only God could offer me. And I was thinking that maybe someone else could give it to me, but only the Lord can give it to me. I love you with all my heart, all that I have. And so will you please still be in a relationship with me? And that was he can tell me no. I just told him that I had been considering, what if I dated someone else? He can break up with me, and he would have every right to do so. And then he did it. So what a testament of his character, too, that he was willing to stay with me even after I had confessed that to him. He's a good man. Just saying.
Well,
I got a good pastor.
Well, to brag on Faith a little bit, my event of this, my version of this was we had been dating for 7 months, 8 months, and when I was 14 years old, that's when I first saw pornography, and I knew pornography was wrong, and I was trying to kick it and get rid of it, and I knew that it absolutely destroys relationships, it will destroy marriages, and it's a form of sexual infidelity. And so, but part of my emotional boundary is like, hey, I will share this part of my story with her, but only when I'm confident, like, hey, I think we could get married one day. So about 7 months in, I remember I was shaking. I was so nervous. We went for a walk because the reality is, like, when I confessed this to her, she has every right to be like, you know what? I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who deals with pornography, because that's a red flag. And so I told her, and I said, I was fully ready to be like, you know what? She's going to break up with me, and that's completely on me. She did nothing wrong. She has every right to. But I just remember having that conversation, and I told her, and I was like, this is something that I'm working through, that I have accountability for, but it's something that's still the Lord and I are working through. And she was very gracious, and she was like, I want to work through this with you, and I want to support you in this, and I'm not going anywhere. And so she's just been amazing, and by the grace of God, we are on a better track now. And so just clap for her, because she's great. So.
I think just on that point, like, if you're considering a relationship where, pornography is in the relationship on one side, or it could even be on both sides, I would say that a red flag is the other person viewing porn and having no remorse and not understanding why it's wrong. Because it is wrong, and it separates you from the Lord, and that's a red flag. But what's not a red flag is you're saying, hey, I'm dealing with this, and I'm brought it to the Lord, and I'm trying my best to work through this. I don't want to keep doing it. That's the green flag. That's the difference.
Any other questions?
I say our toughest moments, like in dating, or honestly, I think that those were our toughest moments, were even in dating. It's made our marriage so much easier because we've had those hard conversations. Our marriage is not perfect by any means, but those were the hardest conversations that we've had together.
Yeah, and I think because, like, if you put in the work in your dating relationship and you set, like, hey, this is how we're going to handle problems, and you really work at it over and over and over the years, it's just going to create a very strong foundation for when you do get married.